Today class, logic lesson 50, examining your beliefs. So we've been learning about the square of opposition. We've been learning about propositions, different kinds of propositions, A, I, E, O. We've been learning about how certain propositions relate to others, and if one is true, it means the other one might be false, or maybe if one is false, the other is true, or maybe if one is false, it means the other is true, but we don't necessarily know if the other one might be false, right? Some propositions have a relationship where both of them can be true, but they can't both be false. Some have a relationship where they can both be false, but they can't both be true. And so we've been learning about all these relationships and how they relate together, and it's very systematic. But how do we actually bring this down to real life? And how does it actually affect you in real time? Because I know that probably studying some of these things, it seems like this doesn't really matter, right? It actually does matter. There's something about the way we think and the way we think about things that really has an impact on our lives on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to try to dig into that today and figure that out, and how it can actually help you on a day-to-day basis. Okay? So we're going to talk about something called inference analysis. All right? So inference analysis is a methodical way to discover what you believe about a certain scenario, value, or proposition. A methodical way to discover what you believe about a certain scenario, value, or proposition. So it's a way of thinking through beliefs, okay? When you say you believe something, do you really believe that? Do you really believe what you just said? That inference analysis helps us to understand if that's true or not. Okay, because often, whether we realize it or not, or whether we like it or not, when you hold contradictory beliefs, it can cause frustration and inner conflict, okay? So holding or acting on contradictory beliefs can cause frustration and inner conflict. I thought I had a sneeze, but it went away. Anyway, sorry about that. So yeah, if you have contradictory beliefs, if you say you believe something, but you don't actually believe it, and you're acting in a way that's contradictory to what you believe, that causes some inner tension, inner frustration, anxiety, maybe guilt, right? It's the way we were created. It was the way we were designed. When we're not consistent with our beliefs, it causes a certain amount of tension within us. Okay? So it's important for us to understand what we really believe and understand whether or not what we really believe is really true or not, and then to act and live in a way that's consistent with that. So analyzing the implications of your various beliefs can help you avoid this. Again, analyzing the implications of your various beliefs can help you avoid this, okay? So if you analyze your beliefs and you understand what you believe and you get clarity, and then you can act consistently with that, it can help you overcome the inner tension and frustration that comes with that. So let me just give you an example. This is a pretty simple example, but maybe it can kind of help you understand how often we sometimes say things that maybe are not consistent with what we truly believe. So let's say you're babysitting. Now I know we only have 2 girls in this class, and I don't know if you guys ever babysit or not, but let's just say you are. All right, for some reason you're actually babysitting for somebody. They ask you to come over and watch their kids. They're going to pay you like $30 to do it, right? So you go, and the kids are playing nicely in the living room. They're playing with Legos, and you're sitting on the recliner reading a book and thinking, man, this is easy money. I can sit here and read. The kids are playing nice, and everything's cool. So while you're engrossed in your book, suddenly one of the kids asks, another one of the kids if he can have his little Lego man, right? Can I have that Lego man? And the other kid's like, no, I'm playing with this. This is mine. You know, it's my own little version of Legolas or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, and he's like, can I please have it? And he's like, no, I'm playing with it. And it breaks out into an argument. So the kid who wants it bides his time, waits a little bit, sees his chance, runs up, grabs the Lego man out of the other kid's hand, turns around and starts to run away. The kid who had the Lego man just like grabs him and does an all-out body slam onto the floor. Just bam, you know? And the kid goes down hard, hits his head, pal just starts wailing, and you're the babysitter, so you got to do something, right? So you leap out of your seat. First of all, you try to comfort the kid that got hurt, right? Hold him, it's okay, you'll be all right, you can handle this. And then once you kind of get him calmed down, you turn to the other kid who's sitting there kind of guiltily, knowing you didn't do something right? You start talking to him, you're like, why did you do that? Because he took my Lego man. So that makes it right to body slam your brother. No, okay? And then you look him in the eye and you say, it's never right to tackle. Okay, so you make that statement. It's never right to tackle someone. Okay? No matter what they did to you, it's never right to tackle. Now, is that if you think about that statement, it's never right to tackle somebody. If you think about that, it makes sense, right? If we were in class, if we get off of quarantine and come back to school and everybody's kind of, you know, standing around in the classroom and, I don't know, Hans does something to irritate Landon, and so Landon just like jumps on him and just slams him to the floor. That's not right, right? So you say it's never right to tackle. But do you really believe that? Do you really believe that that's true? So if we think about that, let's move over to the square of opposition. Move the camera a bit here. So if I change that, to categorical form and I say all tackling is wrong, that means I have an A statement, right? Or I could change it to an E statement and say no tackling is wrong, which means if that's true, then that has to be false, right? Or I could change it to an O statement, which says that some tackling is wrong. So that means if A is right, then O must be wrong also, because that's a contradiction. So if all tackling is wrong, I'm sorry, the O statement is some tackling is not wrong, okay? If all tackling is wrong, it can't be true that some tackling is not wrong, right? Or I could change it to an I statement, which says that some tackling is wrong. Now, if all tackling is wrong, that implicates that all tackling is wrong. So if this is true, that means that also is true. So if we think through that a bit, if our initial A statement is true, it has implications for everything else. If I look someone in the eye and I say, you should never, ever, ever tackle anyone, ever. It's always wrong. But is that really consistent? So if I start thinking through all these other options, if I say, some tackling is not wrong, and then I think about that long enough, well, what if I'm playing football, right? Tackle football. Is it wrong for me to tackle somebody in a game of tackle football? Or I've heard of a situation once where a girl was standing on the train track and she wanted to commit suicide, so she was standing on the train track waiting for the train to come run over her, and somebody saw her and he ran as fast as he could and tackled her out of the way of the train right before the train came, okay? Was it wrong for him to do that? Of course not, right? If somebody is running, if a little kid is running toward the road and a car is coming and you have to act so fast that the only way to stop them is to lunge at them and knock them down, is that wrong? No. And we've discussed in class, if somebody would come into school with a gun, would it be wrong for me or Hans or somebody to tackle that guy? No, I don't think it would be wrong, right? So basically, we're showing that that initial statement that it's always wrong to tackle is not consistent with what we really believe, right? So that's kind of an easy one. That one's not as hard. It's easy to see how that statement is not consistent, right? But what about some harder questions, harder things? How about the question, is lying always wrong? Think through that. Can you ever think of a time where lying might not be wrong? Or is it always wrong? Now, I'm not saying one way or the other. I want you to think about it. Is it always wrong? How about gossip or cheating? Is there ever a time when something like this is okay? Those are things we have to think about. And there's all kinds of scenarios, all kinds of situations where we have to think through, and if you use these different relationships, it can help you think through, am I really consistent here with what I'm saying? Are my beliefs really correct? One that people talk about in the culture, especially if you're a soldier. Now I know that you guys don't go to war and all of that, so you probably don't think about this too much, but if a soldier is in a war and he captures the enemy, well, no, let me back up. If I make the statement, it's always wrong to torture somebody, okay? That sounds pretty good. Is it always wrong to torture someone? Again, back to the soldier scenario. If he's in a war and he captures somebody, and that guy has information that could save thousands of lives, is it wrong for him to torture that guy in order to get that information, right? See, those are questions that people have to wrestle with and think about and ask themselves, are my beliefs consistent? When I say something, do I really mean it, right? Now, again, those are deep, hard questions, but let's talk about some that might hit a little closer to home with you guys. Let me see here. What if you come home after school one day and plop down the couch, you know, Mr. Weaver gave you a bad grade in class participation, Mr. Roth gave you a bad grade on a science quiz, you bombed a math test, you go home, you're just discouraged, you plop down the couch, your mom is like, what's wrong? And you're like, I can't do anything right. Okay, you make that statement, I can't do anything right. Now, if you really think through that statement, most of you know that's not true, right? Of course it's not true. Now, you're not sitting there thinking about the square of opposition. You're not thinking, is that an A statement or an O statement or an E statement? Does it contradict? If I change it, do I still believe it? You're not thinking through all of that, right? However, the point that I want us to make is that learning how to think like this helps us to know how to respond in situations where we make those kind of statements and we start believing those kind of things. So if you come home and you say, I can't do anything right, is that a true statement? If you think through it, if you think through all the implications, and you ask yourself, is there really not anything you can do that's right? You're going to find that that's not true, right? You're going to be able to think of some things that you are good at. But if you don't do that, if you don't learn to think this way, if you don't learn to challenge those beliefs, and you just sit there on the recliner kind of marinating in this thought that I can't do anything right, after a while you're going to actually start really believing that. And that's going to become part of who you are. Okay? And you don't want that. Okay? You want to learn to challenge your beliefs. You want to learn to examine your beliefs. You want to learn to see where your beliefs are not consistent because you want to know what is true. Okay? You want to know what is true. I'm going to turn the camera back to the notes. So the very bottom one says, it is never healthy to hold false, contradictory, or absurd beliefs. It's never healthy. If you hold on to those beliefs and you marinate in those beliefs and you let those beliefs become who you are, it's going to hurt you. All right? So, things like, I can never do anything right, or no one likes me. Have you ever felt that way, or thought that, or said that to your mom or somebody else? No one likes me. Is that really true? Is that really true? Are you challenging yourself on those beliefs? Or are you just kind of accepting it and letting it become part of who you are? Okay, these are important things. It's important for us to look for the truth and not allow ourselves to become convinced of something that is inconsistent with what is true. If we don't challenge these beliefs, they will become who we are, and that will affect how we act. So it's very important to examine our beliefs carefully so that we can act in a way that is consistent with what we believe, so that we don't have that frustration and that stress. Okay, a couple more things to write down before we finish up. A normal part of becoming a mature, thoughtful, happy, and responsible person is the examination of beliefs and values. Okay, let me just make sure you can see that. Yes. A normal part of becoming a mature, thoughtful, happy, and responsible person is the examination of beliefs and values. Okay, and one more thing. We're going to write down a Bible verse. Philippians 4:8. What's finally, brothers? Whatever is true. Whatever is honorable. Whatever is just. Whatever is pure. Whatever is lovely. Whatever is commendable. If there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Okay, so I want you to remember that verse. Just make sure again that all of that is in there. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence, if there's any praise, anything worthy of praise, think about these things, okay? All right, guys, hang in there. We're going to do a test on Monday. We'll probably have a review day on Thursday. So this lesson will be due Wednesday night, review Thursday, test on Monday. Remember, the test is over your notes, plus there might be some other things kind of that have to do with your notes that are in there as well. But we'll go over that on Thursday. Adios.